After careful consideration and review of the current crime situation in St. James, His Excellency the Governor General has declared a state of public emergency in the entire parish of St. James. I advised the Governor General to make the declaration on the recommendation of the Chief of Defence Staff and the Commissioner of Police. It is the assessment of the security forces that the situation in St. James merits this response and the use of emergency, powers. I'm sure that that is not in debate. Yesterday, the Parliament rose in unison to condemn the barbaric murder of innocent lives, young children who had their entire future ahead of them. And for all parents, it must be a consideration in your mind that it could have been your children. And so we take this moment as we declare our response to grieve with the families and to encircle them and surround them with our prayers for comfort at this time. But we also give resolute assurance to the people of Jamaica that we will not wilt, we will not resile in the face of terror.
On the spot news media, we got the latest news. We don't care about the views, we just representing right. Put local news internationally every night. On the spot, wave that Jamaican flag from left to right. Let's get it right, y'all know the type. We ain't dealing with the hype, we make it take flight.
Yeah, man, my viewers and subscribers, what go on. A blessed and wonderful Wednesday morning to each and every person out there tuning in to On The Spot News Media. Now, my peeps, I don't know how we do it over on this side each and every morning. We have to give thanks and praise to the Most High Creator for the preservation of life, because life is indeed the greatest. So in the morning, my peeps, I have a few stories to share with you, the regular members of Chan Public and also members of the diaspora. So please like the video, share the video, watch the entire vlog so you can get a full understanding and a better appreciation of everything we are going in Jamaica. So watch this now, my peeps. We're going to kick it off over there in the violence-prone, crime-riddled, war-torn St. James Police Division, where criminal elements have basically reached a new peak of barbaricness, as we have experienced a triple knockings and clappings on Monday that claimed the life of two of our nation's most vulnerable, a 7-year-old boy and a 9-year-old boy of the Chetwood Primary School. The third person is a known criminal element that was indeed wanted by the police. So we're going to talk about Monday evening's brutal onslaught of 7-year-old Justin Perry and his 9-year-old friend who attends the same school, Knockist Smith. And of course, the 26-year-old dirty kind of boy, identified as Tevin Hill. Then of course, we're going to get into the main story, which is what's really happening presently in Crawford Street. Now, in recent times, we have seen some little sneaky knockings and clappings go on at Crawford Street. And one may be wondering who is not from the immediate area, because those who are from Crawford Street know exactly what go on. But the regular ones and ones them out there looking on, now understand what really are going up there and how this is not being highlighted. Well, On The Spot News Media will most definitely bring to you the infamous Chams gang, who has teamed up with the Ketan Lane KDF gang. Yeah, man. But as I stated, before we get into that, make we continue with this. Now, the entire St. James, especially the communities of Salt Spring and its environs, is in mourning following Monday's brutal slaying of the two innocent children. So we're going to hear from persons in the community who bemoans the loss of Justin Perry and Nakalive Smith. So anyway, listen.
When I came and I saw the whole class in tears and she was frightened, she was like, "Mommy, what's up? What's happening?" And one student said it is Nakalive. And I had to let it go. I couldn't hold it back. Nakalive, that little boy, every evening when I come to school for my daughter, he would be the first one to say, "This is me, mommy. This is me is around here. Here's her bag." And he would pick up her bag and he would take it to the vehicle. He was always jovial. He was always helpful. To know that he's no longer there.
The words cannot describe how we're feeling here at school today. And we are just asking Jamaica to pray for us. Pray for the Jamaican family. Because crime and violence has no place in Jamaica. Teachers are affected, children are affected. Because we have children from many other classes who would be friends of these children, and they would travel with them to home in the evenings. And some of them recall that they just got off the vehicle and they heard the gunshots. It could be any one of them. So these children, I don't know how they are going to cope, but we have to work with them to cope through all of this.
As Jamaicans, we can no longer sit by and allow these kinds of atrocities to continue. We cannot be numb or immune to this. We cannot become numb or immune to this kind of senseless killing. And these are acts that are being perpetrated by adults against our young people. Our adults, again, have failed to demonstrate good sense in dealing with their conflicts amicably. We have become a very violent society, and unfortunately, this is resulting in the death of our young and our vulnerable.
Now, a relative of the slain 7-year-old Justin Perry in Salt Spring, triple knockings and clappings, describes the Knockist and Clappist as heartless. So we'll be hearing briefly from that grieving family member. Listen.
They are heartless. They are really heartless because they know the kids in the car and the guys them shoot up the car with the kids them. They are really heartless. They need to get rid of these perpetrators. You cannot see a car. Everybody know that driver carry kids every day because that is routine. You cannot put a gunshot in a car with people, kids, innocent kids. Man, there's something has to be done. Something needs to be done about this crime.
Now, as it relates to Monday's brutal onslaught, where those two innocent boys lost their lives, National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang says all resources will be mobilized to apprehend those responsible for Monday's triple knockings and clappings. So we're going to hear from the National Security Minister, Dr. Horace Chang. Listen.
This kind of criminal activity and brutal activity cannot be in any way countenanced by any element of the government or security forces, and we'll be mobilizing all resources and all possible legislative activity to hunt them down, find them, apprehend them. They will be removed from the society as is required as fast as possible. Every effort will be made. It's the kind of activity that we cannot in any way even have a second thought about what we do. They are terrorists. When you kill a child of 8 or 9, and it was quite clear that they could have seen that the children in the back of the taxi. That kind of brutish activity have to be dealt with decisively and severely. And not only going to hunt down those two, but all the associates that have been showing signs of getting more active in Montego in recent weeks, and we're going to find them, apprehend them, and take them out of the community.
Now, as it relates to Monday's triple knockings and clappings that took the life of the two innocent children, the police have confirmed that this criminal element here, presently on your screen identified as Tevin Hale, was indeed the intended target. Now, Tevin Hale was being sought by the Montego Bay police in relation to October 26, where a double knockings and clappings took place in the vicinity of Salt Spring Primary School that took the life of these two persons presently on your screen, identified as O'Dane Smith and his common law wife, 22-year-old Imani Jarrett. Now, the police was definitely seeking to find this criminal element. It is said that he was spotted whilst boarding the motor vehicle, and the criminal elements hid in bushes and awaited the car to pass in close proximity. When the car was in close enough proximity, they fired upon the car, killing him same place on the spot, and unfortunately taking the life of young Justin and his 9-year-old friend Nicolev. So we're going to hear from the head of the CCU, which is Senior Superintendent of Police Stephanie Lindsay, as she gives a more clear understanding of this present matter. Listen.
Chances are, if Tommy Hales had made himself available to the police when they went in search of him, he probably would have been alive and the children would not have lost their lives. So the initial investigation suggested that he was the target. He was the person that they targeted. The police also have information because there was a double murder recently. He was considered a prime suspect. They carried out several operations in search of him. The last operation, they seized an AK-47 and 9mm pistol, although he was not found. So, from all indication, he was the target, and the investigation is linking his death to the double murder that happened recently. They will be doing everything to ensure that there's no continuation of this level of violence on the ground. Yes, they know who they're looking for.
Now, the last thing that we're going to talk about as it relates to Monday's triple knockings and clappings that claimed the life of two innocent boys is that the Commissioner of Police, Major General Anthony Anderson, has confirmed that the police has strong leads in relation to who carried out that brutal and horrific knockings and clappings. Now we're going to hear from Commissioner of Police, Major General Anthony Anderson, as he weighs in on this latest spate of violence surrounding the gang warfare fighting in Salt Spring. Yeah, man, listen.
At this point, we have some good leads. I'm not going to say too much because obviously we're after the people who did it. And we will continue to deploy persons in the various spaces that we know where the challenge is and keep things under control until such time. We had a briefing at the military base where we do a lot of the work that we do jointly, and it should lead to operations, not should, but will lead to operations on the ground that will cauterize things.
Based on information that has been out there in the media and the information coming from the police, we see that several of these shootings, they have been linked to Salt Spring over the past few weeks. They have been linked, whether persons were murdered in the incident or injured or just shooting. They have been linked to Salt Spring. So a state of public emergency would be useful to bring the situation under control, but of course it must be properly monitored so that there is no breach in human rights, because that is the major concern coming out of a state of public emergency.
The voice in the latter part of the voice clip is that of Deputy Mayor of Montego Bay, Richard Vernon. Yeah, man. So anyway, my peeps, I could get into the main story. Crawford Street. What really a gone in a Crawford Street? Now, a new gang, a relatively new gang, has been formed in Crawford Street. And they call themselves Chams. So the Chams gang from out of Crawford Street. The Chams gang is basically a filter gang out of the KDF and the Pogo gang, so to speak. So persons from that gang used to be members of the Pogo gang and also of the KDF gang. They still link very close with the Ketan Lane, KDF, man them, but them decide to farm for them own thing. And as always, all of this gang conflict in a Crawford Street is a friends turn enemies type of thing. Because the original Pogo gang, as we all know, and members from Crawford Street can definitely give a test to this, used to be in gang conflict with the Alliance gang. But the Alliance man them and the Pogo man them used to be friends, and just because of certain indifferences, man split and just start clap can pan each other. Now, in recent times, we see where some whole heap of little sneaking, knockings and clappings are going to Crawford Street, and one may be wondering why it is not being highlighted. Now on the Spot News Media this morning come here to highlight the ongoing gang war we are fight in a Crawford Street. Now on your screen is a man known as Yohan Bailey. And me give him too much credit because this is not a man, he's a male figure, but he's a real old dirty kind of boy, the devil's advocate, if I should state it more clear. And this criminal element, as I stated, has since been identified as Yohan Bailey, but more popularly known in the criminal underworld as Toddler. And he is said to be the reputed gang leader for the Chams gang. So anytime you hear a man or you see a man on social media with Chams at the latter part of his name, you know say him belong to the gang there. Because this criminal element here is affectionately called Toddler Chams. Now Toddler used to be a part of the infamous Pogo Rock gang that was in heated conflict back in the day with the infamous Alliance gang. Yeah man, two of them used to war neck to neck. Now Toddler have a second. So when time you hear old people say bench, and you know what? Yeah man, I them that. Because there is no Toddler without him, and there is no him without Toddler. Now, who is the infamous him that I'm speaking about? Now, presently on your screen is a criminal element known as Twin, but affectionately called in the criminal underworld as Twin Chams. Yeah, man. Now, these two criminal elements together formed an alliance and created the Chams gang. And these two criminal elements are wholly and solely behind a lot of what you see taking place presently in Crawford Street. Now, in recent days, this brother here presently on your screen gets slapped away. A youth known as Sanjay Rankin, a known Knockist and Clappist also. So basically is a cancellation go on, criminal cancel out criminal, members of Jan Public benefit. Now Sanjay Rankin end up lose Fame 3 points. Now that was a hit that was placed on Sanjay Rankin's head. The hit was placed on his head by Toddler, and Toddler paid this criminal element here, presently on your screen, known as Romy Chams, to carry out the hit. So Romy are the main culprit, the main Knockist and Clappist. We go up on the works with Fame second and go slap away Sanjay Rankin. Yeah man. Now the criminal element, Romy Chams, has since been identified by his birth name as Romario Wilmot. And of course, as I stated earlier, he was in the company of his criminal accomplice. Now, his criminal accomplice is this criminal element here, presently on your screen identified as Braedon. Yeah, man. So both of them go do the dirt pan Sanjay Rankin. Now some interesting facts to note about the Chams gang. Now the Chams gang is mostly made up of family members, not entirely, but the top ranking members are family members. They all live in a big yard what we call a tenement yard. Yeah, man. Another top family member who has been on the police radar for the past 3 years, known as Adrian Robinson, but more popularly known as Rasta, is also another infamous figure and character of that gang. Now, as I stated earlier, the Chams gang is also closely affiliated with the Ketan Lane KDF gang, and we all know about that gang. I did many vlogs on that gang in recent times. A lot of times, them join up together and carry out a whole heap of knockings and clappings. Now, the Chams gang also operate out of Sign Orange area. Now, they must spread them wings far and wide. So the Sign Orange area, them also have affiliates in that area. They also have affiliates in Mafuta, in Anchovy. And who remember the knockings and clappings were going on in a Anchovy there, so where the brother with them call Butter from around Rohampton did end up get knock up and clap up. Yeah, man. So they are also intertwined in all of that, and it makes total sense because the Chams man them would have definitely know the whereabouts and location of the man known as Butter. So everything definitely start add up, everything start come to light. Now the criminal element that I showed in the beginning of this segment, known as Twin, he's now living among you, the regular members of Chan Public, in Farmites. Now, he relocated to Farmites because he was caught with a firearm some time ago and is now presently on bail for that firearm. So, him relocate to Farmites, but of course, 1 and 2 times him sneak back in at the place, commit him atrocities and take back himself like he was never there. Because one of the stipulations on his bail is that he's not supposed to be seen in Mount Salem at all. So he frequents Mount Salem every now and again. But he now mostly frequent downtown parading at the arcade all about a daytime I try to put on a muscle. But nonetheless, Twin is a ruthless criminal character. Now the last thing that I'll be speaking on, and this is directed to members of the security forces, the JDF and the JCF. On a need for put more police and soldier in the bottom part of the lane them. We are talking about Campbell's Lane bottom. We are talking about Pigot Street Lane bottom. We are talking about Crawford Street Lane bottom. All of the lane bottom them connect together. We all know that the criminal elements them not have to touch the main road any at all if them want. Them can just go through the lane bottom them from lane to lane to lane to lane and not touch the main none at all and carry out them atrocities. So we need to plug some more security forces in the bottom section of all the lanes. So that will definitely offer some more sort of security for the regular members of Chan Public who can't do no better and literally who don't have nowhere else to go, and because they're living in that crime hotspot in that particular space, they can't even give a voice about what is happening to them. So On The Spot News Media and other like-minded vloggers continues to be resolute in our efforts to rid these communities of these criminal elements. So all we need is for you, the regular members of Chan Public, to come on board along with the security forces in the fight against the forces of evil affecting the wide cross-section of the St. James Police Division. Yeah, man. So anyway, my peeps, remember to like, share, subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned to On The Spot News Media as I continue to bring you fresh news and updates in subsequent newscasts. On The Spot News Media. Yeah, man.